gets it back. Hit behind the back! Wizardry! Oh! Look at this pass! Right through the 5-hole! Oh, come on! 5-hole!
It's a great pass by the big fella right there. He read that all the way. I love his patience.
When you look at Nikola Jokic, you wouldn't expect him to be a professional basketball player, let alone one of the greatest and unique players of his era. I mean, just look at him. He looks like the typical overweight uncle at a barbecue telling bad jokes all the time. Not only that, but this guy was the 41st pick of the 2014 draft. So not only did he look incompetent, most NBA scouts also thought the same thing. By that, I mean they really didn't think much of him. Nobody did, and nobody had any reason to. Prior to the NBA draft, he played for KK Megabasket, a basketball club in Serbia, but he did not stand out much at all, definitely not like Luka Doncic, who was a prodigy at a young age. While a 17-year-old Luka dominated across Europe, a few years before that, a 17-year-old Jokic was averaging fewer than 2 points per game and played just 5 games in the Serbian Pro League, barely even getting any minutes. Essentially, Jokic was never touted as a future superstar. In fact, very few people believed he was even good enough to jump over to the NBA. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, let's talk about Nikola Jokic. Why is he so good? What made him so good? How did he shatter all expectations of the professional scouts right when he entered the NBA? First, let's take a look at the scouting report for Jokic. This was written by Stevan Petrovic, who watched him at the 2014 Nike Hoop Summit, a few days before the draft. This is what he wrote. Strengths: very high basketball IQ. This is his greatest strength. Strong personality, a team player, has a great work ethic, tremendous length, can really shoot the ball, hard worker. A self-starter, doesn't need to constantly be pushed to get the most of his abilities. Weaknesses: an average athlete lacking great speed and leaping ability. Foot speed is a big liability. He may struggle to stay in front of NBA athletes at the center position. Needs to improve as a post player, gain strength, and develop a repertoire of back-to-the-basket moves. Despite being a younger guy, his upside appears limited by his lack of explosiveness and foot speed. This is probably the most accurate scouting report I've ever seen because you could clearly see these strengths and weaknesses show in the actual NBA games. Granted, he did improve significantly too, especially his post game, which was previously seen as unpolished and underdeveloped. Now, it's arguably the strongest part of his game. However, generally, whenever you see a big, unathletic, slow-footed center, NBA teams shy away from that. Even more so because he's European. So now you have a big, slow, 7-foot European who's an absolute monstrosity on defense, and with an undeveloped postgame. On paper, that's a recipe for disaster, and it's no surprise he dropped so low in the draft. Defensively, he still has a long way to go, and the lack of lateral quickness will always limit his defensive potential. Nonetheless, he's certainly trying to change that. You can tell by how much weight he lost. By 2015, Jokic came over to the NBA and joined the team. Now, at this point, he showed signs of being a great player. In fact, statistically, his rookie season was phenomenal, especially when you look at the advanced numbers. He had the highest plus-minus on the team despite limited minutes. He had the highest win shares per 48 minutes. He's surprisingly good at cutting to the rim, with the highest efficiency out of 4 players who score at least 2 points per game off of cuts. A stat that's been historically dominated by more athletic players, yet here he is, in the same category as Giannis and Durant. And this was when he was just a rookie. Regardless, even though Jokic was the golden boy of stat nerds, barely anybody was paying attention. Around this time, the NBA saw a massive boom in excellent young big men. Players like Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, Kristaps Porzingis, Giannis, Anthony Davis. When it came to the big man conversation, Jokic was not yet included. He was left out. He was still under the radar because his raw stats were not as eye-popping. His style of play was not as exciting, and frankly, nobody cared about the Nuggets, so few people outside of Denver actually saw him play. Jokic himself is very quiet. He's not the guy who draws attention. But he continued grinding and silently worked and worked and worked. His sophomore season was quietly one of the best we've seen in recent history. Out of all NBA players, he was 6th in field goal percentage, 4th in true shooting percentage, 7th in box plus minus, right behind LeBron James, tied with Jimmy Butler and Giannis and ahead of Steph Curry. 9th in win shares per 48 minutes, ahead of Russell Westbrook, the MVP of that season. Slowly but surely, Jokic started to catch everyone's attention. But how has he gotten this good so quickly? Well, we all know how smart Jokic is now, but back then, his basketball IQ was severely underappreciated. It seems like he always knows the correct play to make. In this article from Adam Mayers of Vice.com, he explained it pretty well. Jokic rarely forces shots out of the post unless he feels confident that he will either score or draw a foul. Otherwise, he operates as a sort of quarterback from both the low and mid post, using his moves to sucker defenses into double-teaming him and then delivering the ball to open teammates. It's such a simple concept, but Jokic has mastered it. When it comes to scoring efficiency, he knows that scoring in the post is much tougher and much less efficient than passing out to a three-point shooter or somebody else cutting to the rim. That's why, despite being an amazing post player, he prefers to always find the best play available, because he doesn't care about how many points he scores. He's not like that. Also, considering like he's on his way to becoming the best passing center of all time, he always hits the right man, and very accurately too. In 2019 and 2020, Jokic averaged over 7 assists per game, becoming the first center since Wilt Chamberlain in 1968 to do that. Additionally, Jokic is extremely clutch. He's had strings of games where he'd carry the Nuggets in the fourth quarter, and despite his awkwardness, he's accumulating a highlight reel of game winners. For example, in the 2018-19 season, the Nuggets had 43 games where, in the last 5 minutes, it was decided by 5 points or less. They recorded a 31-12 record in those games. Jokic logged a total of 138 minutes in clutch situations, with an average net rating of plus 23.5 per 100 possessions. Basically, he's clutch as hell. And as of 2020, Jokic currently has the 6th best offensive rating of all time. No, not just in the current NBA, across NBA history. Seriously, that's freaking ridiculous. In his own way, Jokic has become very endearing and lovable, one of the most well-liked players in the league. I think it's because most NBA fans don't have an athletic bone in their body. So many fans see themselves in Jokic, so he's more relatable. This dude went from looking like this as a child to, well, I mean, he doesn't look much different, but now he's a superstar. Perhaps maybe NBA teams should start valuing players like Jokic more. Maybe the benchmark for success should not be how high you can jump or how fast you can run, but how well you can make decisions. How well you know the game and how much you can make your team better. Then again, Jokic is an anomaly. A lot of people love to make comparisons, comparing modern-day superstars to stars of the past. For Jokic, there is no comparison. Nobody has the skill set of Jokic. It doesn't mean Jokic will end up as the best center in history, but I don't think we'll ever see another player like him. That's all, folks. Let me know your thoughts on his insane progress in such a short time. Where do you see him ending up on the all-time rankings? I think he could be a top 10 center of all time, which is really good considering how stacked the position is historically. He could also win MVP in the near future. As long as the Nuggets continue to get better and win a ton of games, Jokic will be in the running for MVP. He already has all the talent to do so. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.